Top stories tonight. Nigeria's Senate committee meets service chiefs over soldiers' killing in Delta. Nigeria Labour Congress pickets Labour Party headquarters, demands Abure's removal. Morning blaze races 4 buildings in Lagos State. Zimbabwe mining boss arrested for alleged fraud. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Felicity Ezewige. The Senate Joint Committee on Defense, Army, Navy and Air Force on Wednesday held a closed-door meeting with the nation's service chiefs over the recent killings of troops in Okwama community, Bomadi local government area of Delta State. The meeting has in attendance the Chief of Defense Staff, CDS, General Christopher Musa, Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taurid Lagbaja, Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan, and Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala. The meeting came to an end some minutes after 6 p.m.
The Senate had a resolution with respect to the killings that happened in Delta State of military officers and men. And a joint committee was set up to investigate what happened. Joint Committee of Defense, Army, Navy, and Air Force. Consequently, we invited the Chief of Defense Staff, the Chief of Army Staff, the Chief of Naval Staff, and the Chief of Air Force. And we had an interaction with them. And we have been briefed of what happened, and this meeting was the first. We expect that we'll also hold subsequent meetings when we'll have more and more information with respect to what has happened. But let me say this, the Senate particularly and the National Assembly stand solidly with our armed forces. We continue to support our armed forces, and I want to also assure Mr. President that he took the right step when he gave that direction and directive to our armed forces to fish out the perpetrators of this heinous and horrific crime by killing our officers and men in Kwama.
The Executive Council of Urhobo Traditional Rulers and the executives of Urhobo Progress Union Worldwide have called on Delta State government to set up an independent truth commission to investigate the immediate and remote causes of the crisis between Okwama in Ugeli South local government area and Okoloba in Bomadi local government area of the state. This was contained in a 7-point communique signed by the chairman of the Urhobo Traditional Rulers Council, Emmanuel Sideso, during a joint meeting of both executive councils at the palace of the Uwe Monarch Efru Uwe local government area of Delta State. The groups urged the Delta State government to provide a permanent solution to the crisis that affected the killing of 17 military personnel and the racing down of Okwama community by soldiers on what they have described as a revenge mission.
We call on the President, His Excellency Mr. Bola Tinubu, GCFR, to prevail on the Nigerian Army to honor a round-table discussion that may be inaugurated by the Delta government to avoid future occurrence. 7, we call on our Ijaw traditional rulers to join hands with us, their colleagues, Urhobo traditional rulers, to work for sustainable peace on the Forcados rivers, particularly between the age-long neighbors of Urhobo and Ijaw communities to achieve a sustainable peace.
Let's get more perspective on this. I'm joined by the former Director, State Security Services, Dennis Amakre. Dennis, it's good to have you on tonight. Thanks for giving us your time. Let's begin with the meeting that held earlier today. The legislators had a meeting. And yesterday I had a conversation with a guest, and we talked about the urgency of having a committee set up to investigate and ensure justice is done. Do you think that this meeting shows the need for urgency expected to understand the true sequence of events and ensure justice is served speedily?
Yes, thank you for having me. Yes, truly, this meeting is deserved, and the Senate has come up with this idea, which is very good. But I want it to be very inclusive. It should not just be the military alone. You know, you cannot shave somebody's head in their absence. So that meeting should also have the two communities that are warring, plus the military and the police, because apparently in this particular incident, we're not hearing much about the police, and the police is supposed to be the #1 agency for internal security.
Let's look at the call by the community leaders, the traditional rulers. They're saying a truth commission should be set up in Delta State, along with what we are having at the federal level. Do you think one is needed at that local level in order to, maybe crossbreed ideas on how solutions can be found?
Very correct. It's a very good idea because the local people know the local happenings. In fact, it is in that meeting that you are going to hear about the root causes of this very fight, because it's not just starting today. It is something that has been going on, and the traditional rulers and some elders in that community should know exactly how it all started, and should be able to share that in a meeting. So I'm happy that the Yoruba leaders have called, have stretched their hands across to the Ijaw leaders for a peaceful resolution, come together and resolve it.
The Joint Committee Chairman we saw earlier, Ahmed Lawan, said that the investigation will be held behind closed doors due to the delicate nature of the subject. That means the public might not know all the details of what went on. But from your security perspective, what likely outcomes do you foresee? Any prosecution, perhaps?
Well, yes, there will be prosecution of the culprits, because you see, we cannot, even if there is peace in that community, we cannot allow those guys who went and killed our military, disboil them, hoping that if they disboil them, the bodies will sink and don't come out again, but they made a mistake. So they did all that, and we are not going to allow this to just pass, with the current. So those people responsible must be arrested. And this committee that is being formed by traditional rulers should be able to name those people, because they know them. They are people that are existing in that community. So name them and then shame them, and of course prosecute them, because we don't want a repeat of this anymore.
At all. Thank you very much, Dennis, for always heeding our call when we come to you.
Thank you for having me.
The recent kidnappings in the northwestern part of Nigeria, particularly in Kaduna State, have left some of the villages almost empty, and residents still can't get over the terrible experience. Some of the abducted residents remain in captivity. We have details in this report.
Yusuf Thomas is one of the lucky ones who narrowly escaped being kidnapped by gunmen who attacked the Tantau village in the Kajuru district area of Kaduna State in the northwestern part of Nigeria.
Zan daga kai in kalla wane ne ya shiga gidanmu da wuta, sai na je an ce min ina daga kai za harbe ni. Haka na ci gaba da kwance, an ce in kawo waya na ce musu ba waya. An ce in kawo kudi, na ce ba ku. Sai sun ce to in kwanta, saboda ina daga kai za su harbe ni. Ina cikin kwance haka, to ina ganin zai kira abokin shi ne a waje. Da na ga ya juya baya sai na tashi da gudu.
Apart from Yusuf, who succeeded in escaping from the kidnappers when they attacked on March 17, the gunmen abducted over 80 people from the village, with 5 later escaping their captors.
Gaskiya muna cikin damuwa, muna cikin wahala. Saboda yan ta'adda da sun zo sun shiga mana, sun kwashe mana yaya, sun kwashe mana iyaye, sun kai dazuzzuka. Mu yanzu gaskiya ba mu da salama a wannan ward namu, ba mu da salama musamman wannan gari. Muna cike da damuwa. Akwai gwamnati da yawa, akwai marayu da yawa, wadanda suna nan har yanzu ma su ma suna nan a daji, suna fama da wahala.
In recent times, Kajuru and Chinkun local government areas in Kaduna Central Senatorial District have come under heavy attacks as this incident comes a day after 14 individuals were kidnapped in Kajuru and a week following the abduction of 61 others in the Muda community.
Wanda sun tafi da wajen mutum 87 wanda ku a garin tafiya wasu guda 5 sun kubuce sun dawo gida wanda a yanzu wajen mutum 82 suna a hannunsu a yanzu.
Although the Chief of Defense Staff assured Nigerians in the northwestern part of Nigeria that the security agencies are working tirelessly to bring an end to the mass abduction, many Nigerians believe the assurance may not be enough as they look forward to a time when kidnappings in Nigeria will be a thing of the past.
You're watching Tonight. Coming up, NLC demands resignation of Labour Party's chairman, Julius Abure. We'll tell you more after the break. Do join us again. If you've just joined us, you're watching Tonight. A reminder of our top stories. Nigeria Senate Committee meets service chiefs over soldiers' killing in Delta. Nigeria Labour Congress pickets Labour Party headquarters, demands Abure's removal. Morning blaze races 4 buildings in Lagos State. Zimbabwe mining boss arrested for alleged fraud. Thank you for staying with us. Let's now tell you that Nigerian workers forcefully broke a barricade set up by the Nigerian police at the Labour Party headquarters in Abuja. This was as they stormed the headquarters of the Labour Party, calling for the resignation of the National Chairman Julius Abure, saying he has hijacked the party for self-serving interests. Amidst reports.
The protesters from the Political Commission of the Nigeria Labour Congress had stormed the National Secretariat of the Labour Party. Chanting songs of solidarity, they engaged members of the Nigeria Police Force who had mounted a barricade, refusing them entry into the complex.
What is police doing here? What police? What are you doing here? Who invited you? Who invited you? We are all, look, there are no dogs here. You can see us wearing uniform, wearing caps, insignia of Labour Party.
As the police remained resolute, standing in front of the gates, the crowd went wild, forcing their entry into the premises.
Open the gates! 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 Open the gates!
Many of them holding placards with inscriptions expressed displeasure, saying the party has been hijacked by the current national chairman.
Abure has been rubbing salt into injury. Abure is a coup plotter, political coup plotter. He was made secretary of Labour Party in June 2019. In March 2021, Abure transformed into chairman of Labour Party. When we are in the Labour Party and you are going to pay 30 million, 40 million to aspire to hold an active position, how is that party different from the party? How is that party different from the party of the oppressors? Now this party is a party of the workers, and we envision a party where an average worker, a shop steward, a branch secretary, a chairman, in small workplaces can aspire to be councillors, to be local government chairman, to be assembly members.
They say enough is enough.
Nigerian workers have decided that it's time to take back our party. The same process we went through with Uwaya, with Salam, we are going through again with Abure.
The workers are insisting that the planned convention by the Labour Party was not done with the permission of the Nigerian Labour Congress. They are insisting that the convention will not hold. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
In the meantime, the Labour Party National Executive Committee, led by Julius Abure, has described the picketing of the Labour Party headquarters in the Utako area of the Federal Capital Territory by members of the Nigerian Labour Congress as abuse of the law. In a press briefing in Asaba, Delta State capital, the chairman of the party said that the NLC does not own the Labour Party. He said that the Congress is being used by some powerful persons to destabilise the party.
Today, what we saw in Labour Party was a show of rascality, an abuse of office, an abuse of the law of the land. The Nigerian Labour Congress is a subject of law. Nigerian Labour Congress, under the leadership of Joe Ajero, is not above the law. And the law precludes Joe Ajero and the leadership of the NLC to do what they did today to the office of the Labour Party, where they besieged the office, broke the office, destroyed the fences of the office, destroyed the gate of the office, unlawfully took possession of the secretariat, and destroyed properties worth billions of naira and properties of the party stolen away, including monies made for salaries, and several other things were stolen from the office. And I think that this is unfortunate, this is unrealistic, this is becoming unbecoming.
Be sure that APC is not the one using them to destabilize the Labour Party, so that we can lose our strength, so that we can lose the comportment with which we faced the election in the last dispensation. But we are assuring them that no matter what they do, they are not going to have their way. It's getting us, it's making us stronger and making us more determined that in 2027, Labour Party will take over power in Nigeria.
Shameful, very shameful, that the Political Commission of the Nigerian Labour Congress that was formed to go through all the political parties to get their policies that affects workers are now concentrating only on Labour Party. It's so shameful and disgraceful. I also join my voice to their voices to remind Nigerian Labour Congress, we are not cowards. We know the truth and we must stand by the truth.
The House of Representatives has asked the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment to immediately halt the signing and implementation of a trade partnership with the United Kingdom, which allows UK lawyers to practice within Nigeria. A motion by 49 lawmakers pointed to the recent reports and public outcry over an alleged economic and trade partnership between the UK and Nigeria aimed at exploring new opportunities in key sectors such as energy, legal and financial services sectors. The House also noted that the trade deal became very heightened some days ago as the legal aspect appeared lopsided and tilted mainly in favor of the UK to the detriment of qualified Nigerian lawyers. To discuss this, I'm joined by legal practitioner Tunji Abdulhamid. Tunji, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Felicity. Good evening.
Good evening. A trade deal with seemingly tricky legal aspects tilted mainly in favor of the UK. First, let's get a perspective on what the law says about lawyers from foreign countries practicing in Nigeria.
Thank you for that question. The Legal Practitioner Act regulates who and who can practice in Nigeria. And that particular law made it very clear that only a legal practitioner called to bar in Nigeria can practice law in Nigeria. So in other words, if you are not a lawyer called to bar in Nigeria, you cannot practice in Nigeria. And that is, you see, if you study law in Nigeria, you go to law school, you spend 1 year. If you study law abroad, you spend 2 years at the law school. So you must come to law school for you to practice law in Nigeria. So if you don't have a law school experience in Nigeria, or you did not pass the law school, you cannot practice law in Nigeria. So you must be a qualifying lawyer who can practice in Nigeria. So you must be in Nigeria, called to Nigerian bar before you can practice.
Okay. On the one side, some say it's lopsided in favor of the UK, but there are others who say that the transfer of knowledge and show of expertise will, at the long run, in their view, improve Nigeria's judicial system. Is this maybe us not being open to new ideas, or what do you think?
I do not see that as a new idea. I see that as an attempt to take away the livelihood of Nigerian lawyers and give it to the foreign counterparts. Are you aware that for you cannot practice in Nigeria, in UK, if you do not go to the law school? So same thing here. If you are doing it in a way that, look, if you are abroad in UK, you can practice without going to the law schools. Then we can say that reciprocity law wants to apply. But here, those UK government is looking for benefit for their citizens, but Nigerian government is taking away the benefit, or the little benefit that we have in our country to foreign country. It is sad and unfortunate that a Nigerian government that should be encouraging local content is trying to take away the local content in favor of the foreign content. I don't see that as an advantage to Nigeria. For me, you see, we are creating a situation whereby most lawyers will no longer see clients in Nigeria, because once we start that, those who can afford it will now be going for foreign practitioners, and in that regard, they will lose our value, we will lose our practice, and then Nigerian lawyers will no longer even have a benefit in those areas where they can even make a little money they are making. For me, it's not good for us, and I want to commend the National Assembly, that the House of Rep, for that call. It's a right call. We cannot say, you see, we are talking about brain drain. People are running out of the country to other countries to do it. We are encouraging it by this. When you want to steven the environment with your local lawyers, and then you want to import a foreign lawyer to come and do what? What would they want to do that we cannot do in Nigeria? What kind of knowledge do they have that Nigerian lawyers don't have it? I don't believe there's any. I think we should, rather than bring the foreign partners into the country, our foreign lawyers who are practicing in Nigeria, we should rather encourage and make the environment more conducive for the local lawyers to be able to practice in the country. It is totally against our law. It is totally not unconstitutional. In fact, that policy cannot even work, because you must amend the law for it to happen. You cannot change that law by policy or by agreement being signed between the trade and the UK government. No,
Tunji, you actually answered an unasked question, and that was your view on the Green Chamber's argument on the need for pragmatic steps on this trade deal. But aside the legal aspect, really, we know that this trade deal cuts across other aspects. What can you tell us about this trade deal? Is it in public sphere?
It is not. The details are not in the public sphere. In fact, even the legal aspect of it has been denied by the minister. He said that was what he said. What he said when people raise questions regarding what they want to do. So the details of what the agreement entails is not out in the public. I am not aware of it. Maybe they are not aware of it. I've not seen it. So I don't know what exactly it will entail. But I bet paving a way or removing the obstacle for legal for foreigners to come and practice in Nigeria is a way of taking the food from the mouth of Nigerian lawyers.
All right, Tunji, thank you very much for speaking with us. I just hope our legal minds will stay alert and be on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
Let's bring you one of our top stories tonight. The 4 buildings in Dosumu Market area that was completely razed by a fire outbreak in the early hours of Wednesday, causing one of the buildings to collapse. Goods worth millions of naira were lost to the fire, as most of the buildings were said to be warehouse for several businesses at the market, many of which are clothing materials. News Center's Adeshewa Odushoga reports.
Everything just be spoiled. But all the people that have something like this, that will sit down, that will start from square one.
It was an unfortunate Wednesday morning for traders at the Dosumu market after a fire broke out at one of the buildings harboring multiple warehouses in one of the streets. The fire, which started so little at about 6:30 a.m., according to eyewitnesses, soon turned into a massive inferno, causing one of the buildings that started the fire to collapse immediately and affecting 3 other buildings that were also on the verge of collapsing.
We have really angry crowds here because they said that the services of the fire service agency were not, impressive at all.
When it started, they're like, okay, there are all those fireball that they should throw it inside, and some of them, someone just made a statement that, are we the one paying them?
Most of the light is the youth that off the fire. Out of where I'm opening the fire, which is I'm controlling the machine. That is where I have injury on my head. And nobody is there to thank me sorry. And the fire service, they are in my front, they are collecting money and they are putting it in their helmets.
Some of the traders who were affected were seen salvaging what remained of their warehouses, while others continued to count their losses as they watched millions of their investment go up in flames.
I'm a victim. All my things got burned down there. Look at my neighbor there. Iyabej come. So I don't know why all this thing is happening. Where did they want us to start from?
That's the goods that I bought today. That was glass.
I'm a printer. This is my building. I've had all my medicine, everything. I didn't know where I can start.
Although as of the time of filing this report, the primary cause of the fire is not defined, speculations were that the fire erupted from a faulty electronic connection, while others speculated that the fire was caused by explosive from a firework warehouse. The territorial coordinator of the National Emergency Management Agency, Ibrahim Farinloye, in his assessment decried the poor safety precautions at the market.
We look the whole of this place, nowhere we can source for water, we have to go to Guinness and look at the distance. NPA, we had to talk to them. They supply things. They are having challenges also with their own. So that's a challenge. The marketers, if each shop had contributed 5,000 naira, they will have had very effective hydrant to save their property. It happens to this one. Tomorrow it may happen to another one.
The Dosumu market is not new to unfortunate incidents such as these. Barely 5 months ago, a 3-story building was also gutted by fire in the area. Emergency responders have since called for businesses in the axis to be ensured with an adequate presence of fire hydrant in the market. In Lagos, for News Central, Adeshewa Odushoga.
Quite unfortunate in these hard times. You're watching Tonight. Still ahead, Zimbabwe mining boss arrested for alleged fraud. We have details after the break. President of the Zimbabwe Miners Federation, Henrietta Rushwire, has been arrested for fraud after allegedly attempting to sell 3 mines she does not own. Police spokesperson Paul Iyati said Rushwire was taken into police custody after a complaint had been received about mining transactions. She appeared in court on Wednesday and the state prosecutor opposed bail. Last year, Rushwire was convicted of trying to smuggle gold worth $330,000 out of Zimbabwe in 2020. She was a central figure in the Gold Mafia documentary, which exposed how huge amounts of gold had been smuggled out of Zimbabwe to the United Arab Emirates. In East Africa, the United Nations says Sudan is suffering one of the worst humanitarian crises in recent history after nearly a year of war, slamming the international community for lack of action. Fighting between Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and his former deputy, Mohamed Hamdan Daglo, had since April killed thousands and led to acute food shortages and a looming famine, according to Edem Wosonu, Director of Operations at the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs. A humanitarian travesty is playing out in Sudan under a veil of international inattention and inaction.
Meanwhile, the conflict has driven up prices of basic commodities for a staggering 83%. compared to the pre-crisis period. Mr. President, by all measures, the sheer scale of humanitarian needs, the numbers of people displaced and facing hunger, Sudan is one of the worst humanitarian disasters in recent memory. A humanitarian travesty is playing out in Sudan under a veil of international inaction and inattention. Simply put, we are failing the people of Sudan. Earlier this month, the Security Council adopted a resolution calling for full, unhindered humanitarian access in Sudan. Since then, I regret to report.
Let's join our business desk for today's business news.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
Welcome to Business News. Commercial banks in Nigeria have borrowed approximately 24 trillion naira from the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, in the past 3 months, indicating liquidity challenges in the banking sector. The borrowing trend has been observed through the standing lending facility window, with banks relying more on the CBN for cash. The CBN's lending to banks in less than 3 months of 2024 amounted to about 24.13 trillion naira, representing a significant increase compared to the previous year. Analysts note that borrowing from the CBN is costly, with banks paying over 23% interest rates. Additionally, the CBN has debited several banks for failing to meet the cash reserve ratio threshold. As in Africa's largest economy, Nigeria's Mines Minister has announced the establishment of a new security command in every state of the country, focused on utilizing technology to combat insecurity. This initiative will be implemented through the existing structure of the NEC due to the complexities of creating a new security architecture. The new security outfit will be technologically driven, focusing on securing natural resources such as solid minerals and addressing issues like theft and illegal mining. The Ministry of Solid Minerals Development will have overall command, and the command structure of the new outfit will be inaugurated soon. South Africa's inflation rate rose to 5.6% in February, a 4-month high according to Statistics South Africa. This strengthens the likelihood of the central bank maintaining borrowing costs in its upcoming meeting. Government bond yields initially dropped but recovered slightly. Forward rate agreements suggest traders expect no rate cut in March, with less than a 10% chance of a 25 basis point rate hike. The uptick in inflation moves it further from the South African Reserve Bank's target midpoint of 4.5%. Governor Lesotho Hayaho emphasizes the need for sustained retreat and stability in inflation before adjusting policy. Higher transportation costs, housing and utilities, and food and non-alcoholic beverages drove February's inflation increase. And finally, in Zimbabwe, known for its history of hyperinflation, it is experiencing a significant depreciation of its currency. However, unlike in the past, the country is no longer actively defending its currency and is exploring the possibility of establishing a new exchange rate system, potentially backed by gold. In 2024, the local dollar has consistently weakened against the US dollar, resulting in a drastic decline in purchasing power. For instance, the price of a single loaf of bread has skyrocketed from 6,105 Zimbabwean dollar to 19,357 Zimbabwean dollars in just 11 weeks. These are the business stories at this time. Thank you for watching. I am Perpetua Fasami Peter. The news continues shortly. Bye for now.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
Let's get the latest sports from a colleague, Babatunde Koiki. Babatunde, over to you.
Sports update brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
Hello and welcome to sports.
World record holder in women's 100-meter hurdles, Tobi Amusan has won a third consecutive title in the African Games. In the final held today at the University of Ghana Sports Complex, she coasted home in a time of 12.89 seconds. Madagascar's Fiadenatosa Sidonie took the silver medal with her 13.19 seconds, while Zimbabwe's Ashley Tinashe Kamangirira won a bronze after finishing in 13.59 seconds. Amusan has now won 3 consecutive African Game titles after wins in 2015 in Brazzaville and Rabat in 2019. Meanwhile, compatriot Chidi Okeze won the men's 400-meter final in 45.06 seconds ahead of Muzala Samukonga of Zambia and Cheick Tidiane Diop of Senegal. Meanwhile, interim Super Eagles coach Finidi George now has a full camp ahead of international friendly matches against Ghana and Mali. 22 players trained today in Marrakesh following the arrivals of Leicester City duo Wilfred Ndidi and Kelechi Iheanacho, Brentford midfielder Frank Onyeka, goalkeeper Francis Uzoho, defender Chidozie Awaziem, and Bright Osai Samuel, who was recently in the news for defending himself and his Fenerbahce teammates during a pitch invasion by irate Trabzonspor fans. The Super Eagles will face the Black Stars on Friday on the 22nd of March, that is at the 41,000 capacity Grand Stade de Marrakesh. The match will be Nigeria's first meeting with Ghana since the Black Stars knocked them out of the 2022 FIFA World Cup playoffs. They will then confront the Eagles of Mali 5 days later at the same venue. The Nigerian Football Federation are yet to name a substantive coach for the national team since the departure of Jose Peseiro last month after his contract expired. To international football now, and Spanish police on Wednesday searched the headquarters of the Spanish Football Federation in Madrid as part of a corruption investigation. According to the prosecutor's office, the operation is part of a wider probe of unspecified entities linked to alleged corruption in business, improper management of assets, and money laundering. Police carried out a total of 11 searches on unspecified locations across Spain, and the prosecutor expected 7 people to be arrested. As the civil guard and undercover agents searched the offices of the Federation, the Spanish football national team was training on the adjoining pitch. Spain faced Colombia on Friday in London and Brazil on Tuesday in 2 friendly matches. And finally in sports, Russia on Wednesday accused the International Olympic Committee of racism and neo-Nazism over its neutrality rules for Russian Olympians and possible sanctions for athletes taking part in the Kremlin-organized Friendship Games. The IOC announced on Tuesday that Russian and Belarusian athletes who must compete under a neutral flag at Paris 2024 will not be allowed to parade during the opening ceremony on the 26th of July in the French capital, a new restriction imposed as a result of Russia's offensive in Ukraine more than 2 years ago. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova described the move as illegal, unfair, and unacceptable. The Russian government also accused the IOC of trying to intimidate athletes who want to take part in the Friendship Games. And that's all we have on sports. Up next is entertainment with Jadel Simon.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile. Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
Actress and producer Abimbola Greg, known for her role as Tiwalade in Skinny Girl in Transit, has shared her challenging journey 10 years after her brain surgery. She revealed deep-seated fears of mortality during the ordeal. In a YouTube video, Abimbola recounted the discovery of a brain tumor, marking the beginning of a turbulent period in her life. However, post-surgery, Abimbola faced unexpected challenges as she reacted adversely to pain medication, grappling with insomnia, hallucination, and depression. Let's listen to Abimbola.
What God has brought me through. Because as much as I've never spoken about it, even with my family, I thought I was going to die. Not from the brain surgery, which is the craziest part, but during that period of the lumbar puncture, not sure whether I had meningitis. I literally thought I was going to die. And so when I came back to Nigeria, I remember the first thing I said to myself was, I need to form and have a level of discipline. And the one thing that I said was, okay, I'm going to start working out.
Now away from the continent, Grammy-winning artist Lauryn Hill's iconic album, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, has been announced as one of the 2024 inductees for the prestigious Grammy Hall of Fame. The groundbreaking album, known for its fusion of R&B, hip-hop, and soul, will be honored alongside other legendary recordings at the inaugural gala and concerts on May 21st in Los Angeles. Fans of Lauryn Hill's timeless work eagerly anticipate this well-deserved recognition for her contribution to the music industry. That's all we'll take on entertainment tonight. Next is Trending when we return from this break.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
Now, moving away from entertainment news, the trending topic across social media platforms today is the hashtag Abia State. The Abia State House of Assembly has passed a bill aimed at halting the payment of pensions to former governors and their deputy in the state. This move has garnered widespread approval among Nigerians, who view it as a positive step towards addressing the cost of governance in the country. Many citizens believe that reducing the financial burden associated with pensions for former political office holders will free up valuable resources that can be redirected towards fostering economic growth and development in the state. Let's see some reactions to this news on social media. Do we have those tweets now? Okay, let's take a okay.
Because owó tán fáwọn governor yẹn bí pé wọ́n waste owó yẹn ni. So irú owó yẹn kàn fi ṣe nǹkan fáwọn àmẹ̀kúnnù. Kàn fi ṣe nǹkan sí ìlú wa tó máa jẹ́ nǹkan ìgbáyé gbádùn.
I support Dr. Alex Oti's idea that all the governors should not collect pension because already they've made a lot of money while in office. So they should all follow suit. Of course, the pension, they can use it to fix one or two things in the town, in their community.
They are elected officials or appointees are not civil servants. So they are living on taxpayers' money. And as such, I don't think it is right for them there should not be pensionable because they don't have career growth. And there are no quotas of contribution that are being made out of their stipends or their salary to pension scheme. So I think it's best if other states will emulate that and also action that.
All right, we've now heard what people had to say on the streets of Lagos today. Let's take some reactions to this on social media. Daniel Rega is saying Alex Oti's government is making a big mistake trying to stop pension for ex-governors and deputies. People are praising Oti, but forget the reason why pensions exist. Now, let's assume competent governors with their deputies get to rule Abia State in the future. How are they supposed to sustain themselves and families after leaving office? This will only encourage more looting in the long run. It's not a smart move. Ada Anambra is saying, if Oti's government don't continue after his 8 years tenure, believe me, a bill to reinstate the pension would pass the House. Let's take this last tweet from Ifwani. It is a welcome development. I hope the State Assembly makes more policies that encourages, that becomes preliminary requirements to deter future governors who seek to reverse it. Make it difficult to be an executive bill. As the people applaud the government of Abia State, there are also questions as to whether this will have any real impact in the lives of citizens. I guess we'll find out as the story unfolds. That's all for tonight on What's Trending. Please join the conversation and share your thoughts across our social media platforms at News Central TV. I'm Jadel Simon.
And that's all tonight, but before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Nigeria's Senate committee has met with service chiefs over soldiers' killing in Delta. Nigeria Labour Congress has picketed Labour Party headquarters, demand Abure's removal. Morning Blaze has razed 4 buildings in Lagos State. We also brought you news that Zimbabwe mining boss has been arrested for alleged fraud. To send your eyewitness report to the number on the screen. You can follow us on social media at News Central TV. We're live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. Thank you as always for your kind attention. Have a good night.